Hello introverts, Stacy and Helen here, and we take you on a walk. We're in beautiful Sardinia and we're going to talk about changing your projects. So stay tuned and go with us on a walk. Woo! So friends, we decided to travel to Sardinia for vacations, and this looked as a perfect opportunity to show you some nice views and have a pleasant discussion with Helen. We had our stories to tell, and we hope you will find them interesting as well. Sardinia, an island of 1,000 contrasts that will also seduce you with its unique archaeological heritage and its people's innate sense of hospitality. The second largest island in the Mediterranean after Sicily, Sardinia serves up a lovely blend of sea, sand and history. Wait, it's not a travel show? Bloody sorry for that, back to the topic. Anyway, we discussed the reasons one changes projects, how you usually feel about it, useful tips on how to get into the project environment faster, and topics around it. We hope you will enjoy our stories as much as we did, and now it's time to get to know Helen better. Alright guys, so I think we will start from a small introduction for Helen. And Helen, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Helen and I'm working as a QA engineer. Currently I'm working mostly with D365, this huge system which I like, but I even...
Ouch!
Ouch, yes, ouch. I like it, but I still hope that one day maybe I will be a really good professional, at least in one core of this huge system. But okay, I'm on my way with that. I had few projects in my life, they were very different, and I suppose I will share a bit with you about these projects. Also, despite the fact that I'm working with this D365 and like it, I would say that also I like to paint in oils, I like traveling, I like nature and some active sports, and today, that's why actually we've met today on Sardinia with some active time spending together.
Yeah, we should relax sometimes, but anyway, we decided to make something useful for you guys, so yep. Let's continue with the topic. So, the same way as these cactuses, it might be a bit rough changing projects. So, Helen, what do you usually think about changing projects, and especially when a project that you really loved is ended?
Well, it depends on the reason why the project has come to an end for you. Because if someone comes to you and says that you're a shitty worker and you have to free a place for someone else, that's obviously not a pleasant feeling. But I didn't have this stuff in my experience.
The reasons, as Helen mentioned, can be quite different. You might seek new experience, you might be looking into changing your role to something else, or you might simply get bored. COVID-19 situation was of course completely different, and a lot was going on. Projects were frozen, people were fired. I, for instance, was thrown on a testing job instead of being a developer, and this one ended up me leaving the company at that point. Anyway, I asked Helen for her experience so that you folks can also see the variety of changes that might happen in your career and how you can deal with them.
I've been in 4 big projects by this moment. Actually, when I started my career in IT, I had this trial period in one of the companies, USA company, when I had to moderate something, to take a look at the site. I was more a moderator than a QA engineer. But I refused by the end of this trial project. I saw that it's kind of like not that type of IT I was trying to look for.
Right, okay.
Then I tried to learn more about QA engineering, QA processes, and I started looking for a first real natural IT job.
Yeah.
And I managed to find a place in one big gaming company. This was a part of the Ubisoft family, though it was not creating any games, but different types of services. This was a pretty good project. I've been working there for 8 months. After that, I decided to change my path. I received an offer from a bank company. From the QA perspective, I had to test backend stuff, and I was not sure that it would be pretty interesting for me. Because that previous company, it was a product company. In product companies, you always have a rush, you always have what to do, you always have something that happens every day. Even in the evening, sometimes you receive these notifications or messages. But in the bank, it would be too calm work for me. I refused from this offer because I decided to change the country. From some perspective, it was not good from my side because they have already stopped recruiting new members. And then I joined one big outsourced company. And after that, inside this company, I was just changing clients and projects. First project was a BI project, so I was a kind of BI tester. I worked there also for a year, and then client reduced the amount of testers working there, and as a new person, I was again free. Dobby was free. After that, I found another project in e-commerce. Also, I worked there for almost a year, and then the director of the company has changed, and he told that he is 60 plus years old, and he told that I don't see any necessity to have a mobile application. People just come to our shops and they buy stuff, or they open the website. I don't want to pay. And the project was frozen, unfortunately, but I liked this stuff. And I was a bit upset when the project ended because it was the New Year's Eve. I said, oh no, it's just celebrating New Year knowing that you don't have work. That's a bit uncomfortable thing. But fortunately, one of the managers has written to my manager from this outsourced company, and they told that we've seen that you have on the bench currently a person who has this D365 experience in the CV, and we will take you without any kind of interview. We are seeking for someone who knows at least something about that huge machine. And I tried again, to be honest, I don't know. Sometimes I believe that honesty is good, but sometimes it will kill me. I told you, no, I have only small experience with that. I'm not too experienced. I know I can only create some discounts. And they said, forget about this. We will take you. And I said, but good. At least I will have job, because we all know that this is a kind of hard times right now for IT. And I joined that project and still working in it since January 2024. Now it's almost July, so almost 7 months.
Nice. All projects are different. Some are just hated and you cannot wait while they end for different reasons. The other ones are very, very loved. You love the people, you love the project, the work in it, you love the application. But anyway, should one ever wish for a project to end? My opinion on this is that you should change it from time to time, especially if you are at the beginning of your journey in the career, because, well, different experience matters. If you stay in the same company on the same project for years, like 10 years or something like that, then you're not getting new experience from both sides, from the technical side and also from the human side. You have to get to know different people, you have to know different opinions and try and learn from them. And this is crucial, in my opinion. What do you think about this? Please let us know in the comments. I'm really interested in your opinion on this.
If I'm interested a lot in the project, it's of course painful to know that it comes to an end. Actually, I try always to be in a good relations with managers or scrum masters or whoever who is a bit closer to the stakeholders. That's why I always know in advance when the project will be frozen or when I have just a couple of months to finish all my stuff, even before it is officially written somewhere in the chats. That's why I can prepare myself, I can, let's say, cry a bit.
Sometimes you're very attached to the people, and I don't know if there is any remedy for that. So if you are attached to them, just try to keep in touch with them later on. So
Yeah, well, actually, that's a big topic when you're attached to people or not, because from one position, from one point of view, you shouldn't be attached so much because they are only your colleagues. They shouldn't be your friends or part of the family, like sometimes they like to write in job description. I keep in touch with people, not only LinkedIn, but also on Instagram, for example. We can write to each other, share some photos. They are still alive. They are still reachable. That's why finishing project, it's maybe not so painful for me as per the person who is really attached to someone. On my current project, we don't have this culture even to show our faces at least once per week, and in some of the meetings we don't see each other, we don't have any off topics, we don't have nothing, we don't discuss something, we don't have these side chats when we can just share some memes or some stupid photos of ourselves. And I don't know, that's a bit tricky for me because all my previous projects were having this stuff. I don't know. It helped to build these relations between people in a more interesting way, in a more off-work way. So maybe I will not be very disappointed when this project comes to an end because I even have no idea how these people are looking like.
Yeah, you see, so cameras actually matter when you turn them on. Okay, so maybe let's look at this a little bit from another perspective. How do you feel when you have a new project? Well, the last one has already ended. We are in sorrow or something like that. And
we experienced it already and stopped crying. Yeah.
Exactly. So how do you feel about starting with a new project? So what are your first thoughts when you start on a new project? What do you feel?
My first thought is good to know my responsibilities and expectations from me, because there were some type of the projects where after a few months of work I still was not sure what I'm doing on that project, and this tricky feeling is not very good. It affects the productivity, motivation and whatever else. That's why responsibility is first. I would say I'm not afraid of the chaotic projects. I'm not afraid when there is no requirements written, documentation. When you try to test something ad hoc or you have something to fix very hard. But I'm rather afraid when two things. First, shitty relations between people.
Oh yeah.
Though I try not to involve into deep. And secondly, as I've told, I would like to know what I have to do on this project.
Yeah. How much time should it take for you to get fully into a project? Well, the time might be quite different for different projects, but in average, I noticed that it usually takes about half a year to be more or less proficient with an application, a technology, and to get to know the app and the project that well that you can actually work on it yourself without too much guidance from anyone else. And from what I can see, this number doesn't differ too much between senior, junior and middle engineers. Usually it's about half a year. Of course, we might think why a senior should get into it faster, whereas junior engineer should get into it a bit slower. But of course, you have to remember that there are different expectations from all of these positions, so you don't expect as much from a junior as you would expect from a senior engineer. So this is why the time is on average about half a year, and this is the time after which you will be able to somehow be more or less fluent and proficient on this or that project. So who would you approach first of all when this is a new project and well, nobody has written to you, right? Let's imagine such situation. So what will you do?
It's like some questions from the job interviews, yeah?
No, come on, just interested.
In reality, if I have some questions, I try to first write either to one of the experienced testers, because maybe he faces the situation as well, some senior testers, yeah? Or maybe if I have team lead, it's not very often that we have team lead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not on every project it worked like this, but if we have team lead, I will go to him and ask some questions.
Well, what can we say? a rotation of people is inevitable and always comes with a bit of a distress. Losing a team member is rarely planned, and such event can catch the team off guard. On the other hand, welcoming a new team member can also be quite a bit of a challenge, so you have to take into account all of the imperfections of the project, all of the risks and complications that can mess up the onboarding. When this happens, it's great to have a plan which you can execute to make the introduction as smooth as possible for the newcomer and for the team. I have some experience of being a team leader, and I have had such situations, so Helen asked me how we can address welcoming new people into the team. So first of all, if you are expecting somebody in your team, then you have to actually prepare some documentation, if it's possible. And I'm not talking about like full-blown documentation of everything, but at least the business requirements, because you have to understand the project in order to be able to work with it. This is a common mistake of many junior developers, at least, that they just come there for coding and they just do the coding, but they don't care about the business aspect here. So this is the first thing I would do. And then probably, I don't know if it's going to be myself or somebody from the team, I would ask somebody to kind of be a buddy for this new person, maybe not a mentor. Of course, as a team leader, you have to first of all get this person to know how exactly you approach the process. Do you have Scrum? Do you use Kanban, for example? Or which meetings do you have? All of this you have to acknowledge this person into this stuff. And apart from that, of course, you have to let this person know how do you approach releases, how do you do code review, how do you do review in general, because there might be tests to be reviewed as well. And then I think the best approach here would be just to contact this person with somebody in the team. And I'm not the kind of person, because again, I'm an introverted person, so I would not necessarily make this new person sit with somebody and pair program or do something together. Sometimes it might be useful, especially for junior specialists, and especially if you are not in the same location. But in general, I don't really love this approach. I think partially the information should be just read by this new team member, and other information, maybe he or she can just ask about it and will be explained about this. A very common mistake that people make when introducing somebody to a new project is that they are making a lot of introductory meetings, they're recording them and trying to explain everything all at once so that you don't have to do it after some time. And this new person, just knows how this project works and can just quickly switch to programming or testing or whatever they are going to do, and they will be fluent and proficient with this. This is not how our memory works, so if you have somebody new, it's good to give this information in a portioned way. You have to give a little part of information, the high-level information first, then you can switch to more low-level stuff after a while, maybe after a week. Let this person read the code, acknowledge him or herself with the requirements a little bit, and understand how it all works on a high level, then go into details, right? Or you might get a bottom-up approach and start from the very details, start from a very simple task that this person can do, for example, writing unit tests or writing some end-to-end tests or something like this, or maybe fixing something, and then explain more and more details. The bottom line here is that just don't try to put all of the details at once. I have seen it done so many times. I've experienced it on myself so many times as well, that I just dislike this approach, and I always get very misled, confused after getting so much information all at once. So if you don't want to waste your time, like free time, on introducing this person, just make it in smaller portions. It would be much better.
And concerning this, two different approaches. One of them is to read something by yourself and then ask questions if you want. if it's something is not clear to you. And another position is when somebody or mentor always comes to you, shows you how it works, where to click, what to do. I would say that in my own experience, it was always working like this. So someone came to you and explained to you how things work in this project and what you have to test. Or sometimes if we have a very difficult or complicated big task, one who knows more or less knows what to do, he can call to another testers, also share the screen, show, and we can kind of have small brainstorm all together. And that works fine for me because none of my projects had enough good documentation, and sometimes you even don't know where to go, how deep you have to search for this documentation. And sometimes, not sometimes, but very often, we receive big user stories which you open and nothing is written there. Just the name of user story and more of that. The name can be so tricky that you think about one thing, but actually it means completely another. An example, I received a user story called discounts management. I said, oh, that's the big shit. I know that we have different type of discounts. They can match each other. They can be, car discounts, can be some sales and offers, can be plussed with each other or anything else. And I imagined myself that we have to create, that it would be the parent ticket and we have to create dozens of different smaller ones because like for other types of discounts. But actually, when I came with this idea to my team lead, he told me that it shouldn't call like this discounts management. Guy who created this ticket, actually, he just wanted to take a look whether the discounts that have been working, for example, for Poland, for Polish shops, will be applicable in the same way for Romanian ones, let's say.
Okay.
So actually, the naming is completely different. The testing will be completely different. And actually, as a new person on the project, I realized that all these type of discounts were already tested, they're working, everything's fine, so I cannot create the fifth wheel for that. In this user story, no links, no environments where to test mentioned, nothing. So sometimes we are just trying to, find at least something. And no one knows where to do this. That's why we often call each other, share the screens, try to think all together. And for us, it's okay. I even suppose that one day I may come to the project when people will expect from me that I will read all these folders with documentation by myself. And while I'm used that no documentation exists in this world, because that's kind of an imaginary good project where everything is so stable and well known.
Unfortunate truth, right?
Yeah, that's true. And I'm not afraid of this type of the projects. Once a manager during the interview asked me whether I'm afraid of chaotic projects or a big rush or working with some teams who are located in extremely far corners of the world. And they said, I'm not afraid of the chaos because previously, before switching to IT, I've been working as a lawyer. And that's a stressful job. And after that, just sitting near the computer and, typing something or clicking on some buttons, that's not a stress for me at all. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe some of our viewers will be interested what to do because I know that some people without any experience, they're just being thrown on such projects where you don't have a lot of management, I would say, and you just don't know what to do.
I don't know. For me, it depends on your level of seniority. When you're a senior, for example, you can be thrown on any type of the project and you will survive it and you will do something, and people are expecting some solutions from you based on your experience. If you're a junior, you're thrown on the project and you have to find someone who will lead you through this tortures, who will tell you something, teach you something and show. I'm a middle Q engineer, and that's why 50-50 for me. Sometimes I have to ask people, or I need some time to understand how the project works. But from the other side, I have to be more independent already on the project.
So one comment documentation-wise that I wanted to make is that there is common approach to this, that the documentation gets outdated very soon. So if you write something down just in Confluence or somewhere, then you might get into this issue.
Like you have to have a dwarf in your team who will be busy only with updating documentation constantly.
It's very cool if you have one, because usually you don't. We need to pass this car.
fast escape.
Fast escape, yeah. And what I wanted to tell here, I, as a developer, I think that, well, if you have a chance, then code is a very good documentation, because it will not get outdated, because this is functionality that you have to have on your inside of your application, right? So it will be updated always. But on the other hand, because there are many people who think that only code can be the best documentation and that's it, I think that yet you have to remember to write something down, maybe make an ADR or make some kind of yeah, there is another car. Okay. Make an ADR or maybe some Confluence documentation, maybe not Confluence, maybe keep it inside of the repository, but keep it updated and keep it reviewed, because otherwise it will get outdated, and when you have a new team member on this project, well, he will be stuck.
Yeah, also I can refer to the frozen projects as well, because before, let's say a week before the project should have been frozen, we received a task to update as maximum as possible the documentation, so that in some time after years someone will unfrozen this project and would like to continue work on it, it will come and understand what's written there.
Yeah.
But actually for me it's a bit fiction, because first of all, when a globally distributed team worked on this project and some people knew different parts of information about project, that might be already a bit complicated stuff. Also, I don't know, if we are talking about mobile application, it develops very fast. Yeah, actually all the mobile applications in this industry. So if 1 year or 2 years will pass and someone will return back and see the documentation, maybe this person will waste much more time on understanding what's inside, and it would be even more difficult than just to start from beginning, just to, I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe one more thing, testing-wise, yeah, a familiar topic to both of us. So I think that having tests as a product documentation, like business documentation, is very cool, because tests, they should cover the actual functionality that you're going to have in this application. And also, you can read them to understand what exactly is going to be happening in this particular case, because they're checking that and they will be always up to date, because, well, the tests have to be real, right?
Valid point.
Yeah. Which mistakes can you make when you are on a new project? So first of all, you should ask a lot of questions. If you haven't asked a question beforehand and you are asking it a year after your beginning on this project, probably you didn't make a good job, right? Because you should have asked it at the very beginning. So some obvious stuff, they should be explained at the very beginning. There is nothing bad in you asking questions. This is understandable. You haven't worked with this technology. You haven't worked with this product, so questions might be okay. If you are actually helping somebody to get into the project, then please, if this is a senior person, do not think of this person as of a junior. So I would probably not react to this too much, but this is a bit unpleasant, so just don't do this. This is one common mistake that is being done usually when somebody is new to the project. Get a code review. Don't get too much offended if you get a lot of comments. This is fine, because you just might not know the style of this particular team. When you read some requirements or you read some documentation, just be sure that you understood it correctly, right? Because I was stuck in these situations quite a lot of time, that I get into a business problem, right? I get some user story or epic to be done, and I understand it my way. I don't ask somebody what exactly did it mean, and at the end I implement it, and it turns out that they meant a bit different thing. Because when you're new to this project, you don't know how the product owner is approaching these user stories. You might not know how, in general, the documentation is being made, what is the style of these people writing this documentation. So you might be stuck with it, you might misinterpret it. So it's better to actually confirm it with the team or with the product owner to be sure that you understood it correctly before you start implementing it. And if you are an extrovert, then cool, you can just go ahead and ask people about something, anything you want in this project, and this is going to be fine. But if you are a bit introverted, then well, I would advise to not spend too much time on asking people everything, because this might tire you a lot. But you can actually read some documentation, but please remember to spend a little bit of time on confirming whether you understood it correctly or not. When you're trying to do something and after 30 minutes or let's say an hour you are stuck, it's a signal for you to go and ask somebody for help, right? So just time box it and do it this way. This way it's going to be faster. Of course, you can spend another 4 hours on understanding the topic, but it would be much easier and much faster if after 30 minutes or an hour you are going to go to somebody and ask them a question. Worst case scenario, they also don't know it, then you can browse it together or you can do it yourself. But, well, questions are not harmful, so just remember about this.
This was quite a journey to Sardinia, and we hope you've enjoyed the views and our small conversation. By the way, if any of you folks are interested in anything we discussed, or you would like to know some touristic details of our trip, don't hesitate to contact us by email, Discord, or drop a question in the comment section. As usual, you will find some links in the description to this video. I can share where we stayed, what to see. Introverted travel agency to your service. And now, not to make it too sad, let's return to the seashore for our sunny farewells.
Go ahead, give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and check out other videos and the links in the description. See you soon!